Pereira, and he is officially Wolverhampton Wanderers' new manager.
Wow.
The now former Al-Shabaab manager has agreed an 18-month deal to become the big man at Wolves, of course. Now, I did say on Monday's show, having read a little bit about the man, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know much at all before his name was linked with the Wolves job. I thought, oh, this could be good for the Ramble. Just to remind everybody that this is a chap who, and I implore anybody to seek out, we did tweet this as well, do find out the video of him losing at a press conference while managing Al Ahly in 2014 in the Middle East, because the way he turns on the guy who sat next to him even as well.
It sounds like he sort of is pulling the strings as well, that guy, because he's because he does have to go, I do have to respect you. Yeah, sounds like he might be the chairman or something. I don't know.
Even though you're not respecting me.
It's a little bit like an exaggerated impression of that Rino Gattuso press conference.
A little bit like that,
isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, Andy, little bit. He's not hung around at many clubs. It's fair to say. He has been at many clubs, but he hasn't hung around too long at clubs. Of course, just since 2010, Porto, couple of years, Al Ahly, Olympiacos, Fenerbahce, 1860 Munich. I believe he got them relegated. Didn't have a good time there. Shanghai, SIPG, was there for 3 years. Fenerbahce, 2021, 2022, Corinthians. As I said, left Corinthians to say, just to remind anybody from what I said on Monday, left Corinthians. Did okay there and was actually quite liked by some of the fans, and said, well, I've got to go home to look after my ill mother-in-law. A month later, takes a job at Flamengo, which is quite something. That was 2023. 2024, Al-Shabaab, and of course now he's at Wolves. So, Andy.
Is he still a bit mad? Just one word.
Yes.
Lovely.
There you go.
I mean, the thing you left out in that excellent rundown spells is second spell at Fenerbahce.
Oh yeah.
He famously, it was all over social media, got into it with loads of the fans in a pre-season game. He'd taken an official game. At the game.
Oh, it was on social.
That does sometimes happen though. Pre-season, they're not quite up to. I don't know. There's some kind of tortoise style sort of protection that you get through a few games in your main season. And I just think at that time you've had a bit of a you've had 2 weeks off or something, and you've come back a bit mad, and you do sometimes see some spicy stuff in pre-season, don't you?
I see where you're coming from. It's like where Spalletti rowed with the Napoli fans before their title-winning season, but I do underline before their title-winning season. He didn't last until Christmas.
No, we're not going to see probably a similar performance from Wolves. It's a difficult position to be in, though, isn't it?
It is
at that club.
It's a big job to take over for a side that I would think most people would say are good enough to stay up. I don't think there's too many. Whether they will or not is a different matter. But they have a squad. They've got a better squad, obviously, than Ipswich and Southampton, of course. I think that you could argue that they've got at least a similar squad to Palace.
Now that Olise's gone, I think so.
I'd say they've got a better squad than Everton. Yeah. And certainly got a better squad than Leicester.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's all about the direction of travel, really, isn't it? And it's the fact that Kilman and Neto go in the summer and it feels like they're not really replaced. I guess the thing that I would say about Vitor Pereira, and I've never been massively convinced by his work, even when he won those 2 titles at Porto, it was with an unbelievable team, a team that was even better than the one that Villas-Boas won the 2011
high praise.
League and Europa League with. So I think he was Villas-Boas' assistant, of course. Right. He took over from him. But basically, I think the one thing I would say for him is he gets the defence sorted out. Yeah. And that has got to be paramount. And I think when you look at him doing a specific job for a specific time, there's an acknowledgement with this 18-month deal that, it might not be forever.
Because you can't give him a 6 month, really. No, he's not going to agree to that, is he?
His sole remit is to stay up. But of course, he's been desperate for a Premier League job for absolutely ages. He interviewed for the Everton job twice.
That's right. Yeah.
A decade apart. Yeah. Of course, defended himself manfully after there was that graffiti.
I mentioned on Monday, Pereira out, Lampard in. It said.
Yeah. I mean,
that's aged well, hasn't it?
Well, I think, but when one goes out, one goes in. One stays, one goes. That's the Frank Lampard way.
If only you'd have known that earlier, right?
Well, look, I'm delighted he's got a job. Wolves fans.
He probably only
Get in
came
touch.
because he heard that Max Kilman had recently left. Because like, I'll be the new Max Kilman.
Perhaps that's it, Peter. His first game will be against Leicester on Sunday. So it's a huge game.
No pressure. No pressure.
Well, a massive game he's going to come into, because if Leicester win that, I mean, Wolves would be at least 6 points from safety. Could be more, depending on result.
Right, yeah.
Because they're already 5 points behind Leicester themselves. So a huge game he's gone straight into. But, you know, he would probably argue that he's born for this sort of stuff. And I hope he is. One man that they could do with, Matheus Cunha, has been charged with misconduct by the FA for his actions following Wolves' loss to Ipswich, where he elbowed a member of Ipswich's security team in the back of the head and then snatched his glasses. Of course, he does have until the 19th of December to respond to the charge.
Can I just say, I was disappointed as someone who remembers Jens Lehmann being criticised when he's playing for Stuttgart by a fan, stealing his glasses and running off onto the team coach with them.
Come on.
He left the job half done.
Right.
And really, you could say that's Wolves' season in microcosm, really.
I forgot Lehmann did that.
I mean, he has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Turn up to the hearing.
Wearing a pair of glasses.
Wearing those glasses. And I think you should get off Premier League sanctions if you make them laugh.
Yes.
You
Totally
think you should be
agree.
like, oh, fine, okay.
Totally agree.
Okay, what your ear tester said.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the
depends
giggle
on-
test.
You were saying how big the game with Leicester is. It depends on the timing. If you're Wolves, do you make a spurious appeal, knowing that the ban could be extended, so
he
he's
can play?
definitely available for the game with Leicester?
So he's not available for the game.
Well, we don't know because he hasn't been banned or otherwise yet. I'm saying depending on
but they
how
haven't-
quickly it's expedited.
Well, but yeah, that's very true. That is very true. Yeah.
Peel everything double doon, as we always say. Just double doon.
Double
What are those lawyers doing if you've not got 112 charges to defend? just get them busy.
Get the glasses on. Get in there.
Glasses
Make them laugh, and you'll be absolutely fine. Well, it's all happening at Wolves. I'll tell you that much. Huge game though against Leicester, which with Pereira in charge. For me, I haven't checked if it's on telly or not yet, but I'm sure that is must viewing. That is essential viewing now.
Mustard viewing.
Mustard viewing. he's absolute mustard.
He's absolute mustard.
I do quite like that expression on it.
Well, it's got to be good, isn't it? Because they use it for something being good.
Better the devil you know. There we are. Right, let's talk about Marcus Rashford. He said some interesting things during an interview with your friend of mine, Henry Winter. He said he's ready for a new challenge after being asked about his future at Manchester United, which is quite honest, really. Obviously, the January window will be soon upon us.
it is a little bit jumping before you're pushed, isn't it?
Yeah, and it seems like he's lining up that window. I mean, this suggests to me that he is very much on his way out. I mean, he said in the interview, if I know that a situation is already bad, I'm not going to make it worse. I've seen how other players have left in the past, and I don't want to be that person. He also said, when I leave, I'll make a statement, and it will be from me. When I leave, it's going to be no hard feelings. You're not going to have any negative comments from me about Manchester United. That's me as a person. Startling honesty. Refreshing honesty, one might say.
Yeah, and it's good that he's already queued up the social media post where it'll be a fuzzy picture of him wearing a Man United kit from when he was 10.
Right.
I think probably.
Don't ever go at pictures from the past. It's fuzzy because of, less modern scanning techniques for 35mm film.
I was going to say, it's fuzzy because you're not his media manager.
Exactly.
And you tot it up appropriately.
If you are going to get negatives blown up, though, do not go to Snappy Snaps. I paid like 26 quid for 24 pictures.
Rashford said you're not going to have any negative. So Andy's takeaway from this story is that, Peter, do you have anything that you might want to add?
I think he does need a move. I think that in many ways we've fallen foul of somebody having 100 days to prepare a presidential campaign. We're all sowing, we've all kind of reaping the rewards of that globally.
Yeah, it's worked out well.
It's worked out well. And so I think Marcus Rashford starting a campaign to get a move in January is it's a very short amount of time to get your dossier in bits. I would say.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, if there's an obvious move out there, it's Paris Saint-Germain, isn't it? Because they've been interested in him for a long time. They're interested in him to nominally replace Messi. They're interested in him to nominally replace Kylian Mbappe. And
he's done well to just let the dust settle on them. Can I replace Colin Mawani? I could probably.
People never hear the word. That's what
Colin Mawani's a good
to
player.
say.
I don't want to disrespect him, but come on, there's two aforementioned names.
Yeah, I mean, nearly scored the winner in the World Cup final, for goodness sakes. But I think nearly, yeah.
Is he a bigger asset to a Premier League club because he's homegrown? I don't know whether does that kind of factor into your fair play and stuff. I don't know how it all works.
Isn't there too much of a chance for it to bite United?
Yeah,
I think that's the issue. And if you're talking about starting again, and when he's talking about starting again, he's really talking about starting again a little bit like Ashley Cole from the English media, isn't he? That's definitely part of it. That definitely factors into it. I think that would be like quite a nice fit. And that combination of relatively low fee that they're going to charge and very high wages that presumably he's not going to climb down from, that makes a lot of sense. And they're really lacking a centre forward at the moment, and he would play centre forward there,
and he wouldn't get distracted by the kids' school meals because they'd be delicious, aren't they? I bet the French schools are delicious.
You would think so.
You would hope so.
You would think.
I don't think school meals are good anywhere.
No, they're not.
He's also just that slightly further away from Belfast, so the temptation to go clubbing there might be
the draw of Belfast.
I don't think they have any nightclubs in Paris.
I think you'll be okay there. But when you talk about the fee, you think the fee would be low for Rashford?
It'll be relatively low because they need to shift the entirety of the wages.
Manchester United,
yes.
And also whatever they sell him for, it'd be pure profit, of course.
Yes,
interesting. Well, that would obviously go in his favour massively.
But I think in terms of England,
yes,
please tell us.
Oh, no,
it just be if he can get in a place where he's playing well again, it'd just be a massive boost. And it'll take, maybe if we're talking about him as a centre forward, which to be honest, I think we should. It'll take a little bit of the pressure off Kane as well.
We're not gifted in that area.
I think he's way better off the left. I think when you're talking centre forwards, you're talking Watkins, Solanke. You could even argue Delap, coming through. So I think for me, Rashford is way better off the left.
I mean,
this is not about a tactical thing. This is about
a moot point, really, isn't it?
Indeed. But Andy, I sincerely hope that we talk about tactics and Rashford in England at some point in the future, because it would be a massive upturn in his fortune and his form, certainly. But I do find this interesting, Peter, where he's very much open to a move. I thought he might actually want to fight for his place and stick around. I don't know whether this is just a case of Amorim coming in and he thinks, enough's enough, or we look at the last few years of Marcus Rashford and thinking
he's seen this so many times and he probably doesn't trust the process necessarily.
There's that, and also his demeanour has, and he's looked shot of confidence, and
there's considerable baggage, isn't there?
Yeah, he's shot of a good time. I don't want to start sort of speculating on what's going on in another person's head, because I don't think it's particularly wise.
He's looking around the dressing room. He's seen that Ineos have Airbnb'd half of it. He just thinks it's a
different person waking up there every morning. I don't know. Andy, clearly he wants a move, and this is it. This is surely the fresh challenge. This is what he's saying, which I think is quite good, because I think he seems to go, right, I've got an idea, and he's come out and said it, and it sounds like he's feeling a bit empowered, and I think this bodes well.
I agree, and sometimes a transfer is good for everyone, but I think it'll be good for Manchester United. It's clear that Amorim doesn't want him, and if he doesn't fancy him, talking about his positioning, if he doesn't fancy him as a centre forward, he doesn't fancy him because he just doesn't fit in his team anywhere else. So
not even with the width that he plays.
No, he wants a different sort of
Mason Mount. Even though he got injured, but he was still operating in that area.
Not in the wide area. I don't think. Not medium to long term anyway. So I think it kind of limits his options. It is just best for everyone.
Okay.
If he goes to PSG.
Yeah. Well, it seems so.
I need a nouveau défi.
Yeah, it would be a shame if he went to Saudi Arabia. Let's be quite clear about that. Al-Shabaab. I don't know. Well, in other Premier League news, did you see that Mykhailo Mudryk has provisionally been suspended from football after failing a drugs test? It's been reported that meldonium was detected in a standard urine tests, and that apparently helps endurance and recovery. He does have a B sample that is to be tested and analysed and so on. So we're sort of waiting to see what happens. He wrote on Instagram, "This has come as a complete shock, as I've never knowingly used any banned substances or broken any rules, and I'm working closely with my team to investigate how this could have happened." Now, he has missed Chelsea's last 5 matches, hasn't featured since 28th of November. Maresca said it's down to illness. However, it has been reported that it's understood that Mudryk had been unavailable for selection due to a suspected adverse analytical finding. And
Wow.
FA rules state
Someone
that,
put some drugs in that word salad.
exactly, yeah. So FA rules state that if somebody is suspended before a decision has been taken,
Right.
then I think that there may be a little bit of explaining room in there. We shall see. It's kind of saying, you can't ban me. I've been suspended, sort of thing. Yes, clearly though, if he fails his drug test, then he's going to be in big trouble. So they're trying to. I suppose the club are doing all they can to sort of smooth this over and see. Right, let's give ourselves a fighting chance. But let's wait and see what happens.
It's a delicious sentence, Mikhailo Mudryk's Meldonium. It's beautifully alliterative. I enjoy it. It's a big shame for him. He has not necessarily been the most popular Chelsea player this season or last season, but on the rare occasions he's actually played, his form's improved slightly, so you probably would have been looking for Chelsea to make a return on that investment, but obviously they'll probably drop him, knowing how cutthroat that company is.
Yeah, he's looked like he's benefited from Maresca's coaching, actually, doesn't he? Like a lot of those players. So yeah, sad.
All right, coming up after this, could we have a European Super League? My goodness, stay with us.
And what's going on here? Somebody's breaking into my house, and that made me angry.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Santa,
No
stay away.
Meldonium needed.
Stay away, Santa, from Big Dunk's house. Now, the European Super League is going to have another swing. A22 Sports Management, the company behind the European Super League, has submitted a proposal to UEFA and FIFA to obtain official recognition for its new cross-border European club football competitions. The competition has been branded the Unify League. Peter, you're a fan of branding.
What a name.
It sounds like they've thought up the name just to sort of go, well, you can't complain about any of this because it's unifying.
We are trying to...
It's the same way that certain despots use the word liberated. Do you know what I mean?
Indeed.
You don't want it.
Yeah.
They're giving it to you.
One man's unity is another man's division. Well, in the official press release, A22 said, under the December 2023 ruling of the Court of Justice of the European Union, any competition where qualification is inclusive and meritocratic and which complies with the overall match calendar can be officially established. So just to remind people, essentially what happened last time round, when they had a go with this Super League and it was denied. UEFA blocked it, of course. So the company behind it, A22, took them to court for abusing a dominant position, is what their argument was. And then the Court of Justice of the European Union found UEFA's and FIFA's rules for authorising new competitions contrary to EU law. So UEFA rules were then amended before that ruling, but they believe they adhere to it.
So basically, off the back of this ruling, both A22 and UEFA claimed victory. And
Yes.
it depends which way you're looking at it.
Indeed, Andy.
Yeah.
So A22 is saying, so you can't deny us the right to create a competition and basically give people a choice.
But that doesn't mean the right is automatically given.
No, indeed.
Which is what the EU ruling made very clear as well.
Right. So it would appear, after all that if any... So this is what A22 believe, that if any club does indeed enter talks with them about joining this potential competition, which we will map out for you in just a moment, clubs wouldn't face punishment. Now, the Premier League threatened the 6 Prem teams that chose to join the Super League last time with a £25 million fine and a 30-point deduction. Now, the teams that did say yes to the European Super League, and let's name and shame them again, shall we? Arsenal, Spurs, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, and Chelsea. So yes, those 6 wonderful examples of football clubs said they wouldn't participate in any future business with A22. Will this test them?
It will. I think for some reason A22, I forgot
named after a road.
Well, I thought it was like remember like that film company that do really worthy sort of artsy films, A24. I was getting really confused, going, what's going on here? Is this a is this a film? Is this a project?
So it's below that, and it's below Brighton versus Palace.
It is,
essentially.
It seems to be. Well, so this is they've laid out their plans how this competition would work. So if you remember, the Super League was a closed shop between, what was it? How many clubs was it? 16? I forget now. But you remember that the two Madrid clubs were in it, the two Milan clubs, Juventus.
But there was always going to be meritocratic entry.
Barcelona, exactly.
Very, very, very small measure.
Yeah, incredibly, PSG weren't a part of it, were they? But then maybe there's a reason for that. But anyway, there's a big reason. And the reason why Man City are involved is because I think, if you're going to take those other ones aforementioned, they're fine, we'll chuck them in and deal with that later. So anyway, it was a closed shop. And roughly 16 teams, whatever it was. This time round, much bolder, much bigger, 96 team structure with annual qualification based on domestic league performance. Now, within this 96 team structure, you have 4 different leagues: Star, Gold, Blue, and Union.
Blue, sweary.
The sexy sweary league.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be known as, very much like when you play Prevo, they don't have a real name, so they're motherfucking Arsenal. And twatty Chelsea.
What about Union, for the lowest rung?
Yeah,
that's
but
like
Union sounds like better, doesn't it? Like Union sounds good.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think they're trying to make it sound.
It sounds like going for gold, really, doesn't it?
Going for Star is what you want to be doing.
Yes,
of course,
exactly.
in this night.
Union City Blue. Marcus, how's this whole shebang going to work as a league structure? Because it's worth explaining it now, because we'll never need to think about it again. Because it'll probably never happen.
I want people to know the details.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So
it's fanciful, not a shit that someone wrote on a back of a cigarette packet.
Indeed. So Star and Gold leagues will each have 16 teams split into 2 groups of 8.
Okay. Yeah.
So you'll get the gist in a moment. So the Blue and Union leagues, each of them on their own, have 32 teams split into 4 groups of 8.
Right. Can we have an Apertura Clausura version as well?
If you want, you can do that. So teams will play each other home and away. So this will be 14 matches. 14 matches. Bearing in mind the current Champions League format, everyone goes, we're up to 8 games in the first round of this. This is a bit much. 14.
Players are creaking.
14. Well, I think that this answers the question and the demand that everybody, from players to managers to fans, that we want more football, Andy. So it satisfies that. So 14 matches. The top 4 clubs in the Star and Gold leagues and the top 2 in the Blue and Union leagues then go into quarterfinals. So into the knockouts, right? Quarterfinals obviously played over 2 legs. And then in the Star and Gold leagues, the semis and the final will be played in a single territory for the last, what would turn out to be the last week of the sort of the club season, if you like.
Right.
A bit like the UEFA Nations League. You play the semis and the final, almost like in a sort of a little tournament-y style thing.
A bit like COVID Champions League and like Europa League, where you have this like Final 4, Final 8 sort of business.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm really impressed, Mr. Speller, by your pitch for A22 spokesman.
I think
it's very, very impressive. I'm sold on the product now in a way that I wasn't before.
The only thing I would say with regards, have we not already got this? Have we not already got a better version of this?
Well, do you think that this kind of the change in the Champions League format was very much to see off a bit of this, to make it a bit more?
It's exactly what it was.
That's exactly what it was. Look, I really
hasn't worked though.
I really appreciate your patience in explaining that. The reason it hasn't worked is because the format of it is essentially irrelevant in this discussion. And you can tell because this is, well, firstly, it's a total back of a fag packet idea. And secondly, it's never really about the actual competition. It's never about the quality of the football. It's about the biggest club's right, or a company that's marshalling the interests of a couple of these biggest clubs in particular.
You can name them, Real Madrid.
Real Madrid and Barcelona. We don't really need to name them, but that's who they are. And it's
don't forget Juventus in this as well. They're very keen.
No, Juventus are less involved than they were. Of course, they've had a complete structural change at
how the mighty have
level.
fallen, Andy.
You know what I mean? So it's not about the format of the competition. It's not about better football, despite what Real Madrid might argue. It is about the biggest clubs having a license to print money and having an ability to organise the competition rather than UEFA. That is all it is about.
Yeah, it might as well be called the Real Madrid League, essentially.
Yeah. It did say that the Unify League could be made free to air.
Oh, I'm listening.
And it says could.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a similar model to the Club World Cup. It's like this evil concept, we're going to give it to you for free, and that's how we're going to get you on board.
Yeah. First one's free.
It often is.
Exactly.
I mean, it is a remarkable thing. And talking of Real Madrid and all that, they, as you say, have come out in favour of this. The Madrid chief exec, Jose Angel Sanchez, went as far as to compare UEFA to the musicians on the Titanic playing on despite impending doom.
Get to the asterisk
which
bit,
was quite good indeed. He also said this: "We feel like Asterix's village in a world dominated by Romans." Do you think would
It's a very retro reference, isn't it?
It is. I never really watched Asterix. Pete, could you do a quick explain on Asterix?
It was the only thing you would want to read in a school library. Because Tintin was too boring.
Okay.
How dare you take that back?
Where was Asterix based?
It was he a Viking or something? Was he up there kind of?
I feel like he was
French.
He was Northern France, was he? Yeah.
Was he Northern France? Oh, he was the Gauls, wasn't it? He was
I
a Gaul.
understand why
he
you
was a
thought
bloody
it-
Gaul, wasn't he?
But it was a Nordic vibe about it. I understand why he thought that.
Is it because of
the
Obelix?
helmets.
The helmets,
Yeah,
exactly.
the helmets,
So he was in
yeah.
Northern France. And
So, talking of helmets, tell us more about what Jose Angel Sanchez had to say.
anyway, so we feel like Asterix's village in a world dominated by the Romans. I think people do get the Romans reference, though, even though it's more retro than Asterix, you might argue. Yeah. We too feel like we have our magic potion. We are a very special club with a strong tradition, but we have to keep fighting these battles to defend ourselves. I mean, you've got to feel sorry for the man. They give them to defend themselves.
The balls.
It's a bit like Man City trying to fight against the evil majority, isn't it?
Yeah. But that is exactly what it's like.
Because the baddies in Asterix was Julius Caesar, wasn't he? Like he was the main
Romans,
baddie.
yeah.
So is that Sephirin? I don't know what that.
I've no idea. I feel
Real Madrid painting themselves as the little guy is a different level of shamelessness.
Good stuff,
It's not new.
it isn't.
Throughout this whole process, and when I talk about this process, of course, it never really stopped. When we go back a couple of years, and the original idea was rejected, but Real Madrid continuing to try and paint themselves as sticking up for the future of football against the tyranny of UEFA is extraordinary.
If Real Madrid did this during that period where they couldn't get past the second round of the Champions League, or they hadn't been to the final, I kind of
but
go
they got stuck in the last 16.
Yeah, right. I'd be like, all right, I can see what happens. But they keep winning the Champions League. It's like, lads, why are you bothered? You're the most profitable club in the world. You keep winning the competition, which is easily the most.
Could be more lucrative, though, couldn't it?
But that's the thing. You're talking about sporting glory, whereas we're talking about money. Like I said, it's nothing to do with the format, with the competition.
And that's how perverse Jose Angel Sanchez's comments are, because he talks about sporting glory. He talks about the meritocracy. He talks about the quality of it. He's talking about it on the pitch.
It's
Whereas
amazing,
if he's talking
isn't
about
it?
on the pitch, we'll keep doing what you're doing then.
Yeah,
but it's total bollocks.
Exactly. It's to say we have a strong tradition. We're going to say, and we're going to fuck that tradition by leaving the European Cup / Champions League behind us.
Create a crap competition with absolutely no history and create more football for other people. I find it extraordinary. He did say about we need to stop all this business with clubs being state owned. Well, that's something we can all get behind, but that's not the way to do it.
No,
it's absolutely not the way to do it. My only thing I find where this may have a tiny teensy flicker of hope for A22 is if they are given the right to create this competition, it would essentially create a scenario where clubs would choose which governing body to go to, and they may get support with some of the smaller nations and the smaller leagues who find it difficult to qualify for the first round of the Champions League, or if they do, they don't do much. Whereas if they're saying winners of all domestic leagues, like it used to be in the European Cup and it used to be in the Champions League when it changed format, they can go straight into the star and gold tier. I could imagine.
And that's not what they'll be saying.
No, but but if they seduce them with that kind of argument, I could see that the likes of Romanian clubs or Hungarian clubs thinking, hang on a minute, we could be.
I mean, basically, once you get down to the Blue and Union leagues, we're talking about replacing the Europa League and the Conference League.
Yeah, because this thing basically already exists.
But yeah, the money is is the seduction, as you say. And I agree, it will appeal to some smaller leagues. And the thing is, any idea that's going to have traction in world football, it's kind of like if you go back to the era of Platini in charge of UEFA, the support that Blatter had when he was in charge of FIFA. It's easy for us to be in England, a really affluent football culture, and say, how can you vote for this guy, etc. Well, the reason these guys get power is by looking out for like one member, one vote, and thinking, let's get everyone on.
That's why João
board
Havelange changed the whole structure of FIFA, because people said there was far less corruption under Sir Stanley Rouse, but there was way more kind of colonial mindset.
Yeah.
So Avalanche
that's
goes
exactly it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Exactly
So something's not all bad and it's not all good. And but I feel that maybe that argument is we're getting away from what is actually going on here. This is Real Madrid with their odd little sidekick Barcelona in this sort of situation, trying to say...
I guess it's not that odd, really, when you think about how football works in the modern era. It's like, I don't know, if you come off the pitch, for example, Bayern and Dortmund, who, by the way, German clubs are never going to be involved in this, and PSG are never going to be involved in this, which is kind of a stumbling block, I think, when you look at modern football, because PSG and QSI, their ultimate owners, used the potential schism of the original Super League idea going back 3 or 4 years to cement their power base in UEFA, and Nasser Al-Khelaifi used it to cement his power base in UEFA and the ECA. And German clubs, culturally, they just can't do it. It's not possible for them to do it. But what I was going to say is that Bayern and Dortmund, do you think of them as eternal rivals on the pitch? Obviously, it's a modern marketing construct, even that rivalry, in inverted commas, on the pitch. But outside Germany, their interests are basically the same in terms of growing the brand and getting in as much money as possible. So the fact that Real Madrid and Barcelona are cozying up in that sense, it's just an indication of globalised football. It's nothing really to do with the actual game.
I think everybody should give them... If indeed it comes... I think if it does come to a situation, as I say, where clubs have to choose, and it may not get to that, but if it does, I think clubs should say to them, we're going to go for it. So then Real Madrid go, right, we're going to be playing in this competition. Everyone goes, we're going to play this. You're not winning the Champions League this year, are you? What do you reckon, Peter? You for it or against it?
I'm definitely for it. I think, any ideas that don't come from the Premier League, I'm just for, generally. Anything from, much like the Year-22, Eastbourne. Anything Eastbourne, I'm there.
You're onto
in.
it. Yeah, okay. Give it a chance.
Yeah, give it a chance.
No idea is a bad idea. Will someone
just give the A22 boys a chance for crying out loud?
If you were in a meeting with A22, would you say, no idea is a bad idea? Actually, let me row back on that.
Like I said, Marcus, it depends whether you're presenting the idea or not.
Yeah, that's true. It's all down to me.
It is all down to you. This is all on you.
God, blimey, what a sellout that would be.
As people, and it's one of the things that I really do love about modern football. You know how people stand behind the goal, and when a team's losing, they chant at the goalkeeper, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault." I really enjoy that now, and we'll be saying that about you and the Super League in the future.
You're putting a lot on me here, Andy.
I bloody am.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Slap some mustard on him.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate insult, wouldn't it? Right, coming up after this, we've got some sweet, juicy Carabao. Before we get to tonight's fixtures, and I've been very patient with this, everybody, I want to talk about England's World Cup qualifying group that was announced, was it last week?
Well, yeah, like eating too much at Christmas, the food will force it out eventually. And Marcus has been trying to get this at every show.
I mean, essentially, this is the profiteroles coming out at Christmas, and that most people around the table go, I'm full. Whereas Marcus is going, it's the pudding.
Yeah, it is, and profiteroles are so light. I mean, come on, man.
Peter,
I bought 2 expired custard tarts.
Why did you? No, they were soon to be expired.
Millefeuille. Well, they're expired now because I ate one of them. There's still one left in the fridge. I will be eating this afternoon.
You didn't buy them expired. I didn't buy them
expired.
I just want to defend
I don't
that
want to besmirch the good name of Morrison's. Yeah.
Morrison's
in Chalkwell. But yeah, I just think profiteroles and eclairs, anything from the eclair choux family. I think you can eat them at any time of the day.
Isn't that the danger, though? That they're so light.
Any time of the day.
Any time of the day. 3 a.m.
Oh, dear.
I was doing him a favour by glossing over that.
I have to pop out to the garage to get a new box of cornflakes. All right. Gets a Claire. Keep my strength up.
Claire for crying out
A few
loud.
calories are needed to get that. Well, I don't know where we were, but apparently England's World Cup qualifying group was less important than Champions League and Manchester derbies and stuff. So here we are. England will face Alexander Mitrovic's Serbia, Albania, Latvia, and Andorra in a qualifying group for 2026.
You'd bloody take that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably would.
It's the most England of World Cup qualifying groups.
Do you think so?
I think
a group that they would be tipped to kind of breeze. Although, I mean, with Serbia and Albania are no mugs. I understand England are better than them. I understand England are heavy favourites for this group. Okay, but there's
probably a bloody nose in there, isn't there?
You do have two proper sides there, of course,
and not just because Serbia are playing Albania.
I'd like to move on from that, Andy.
Okay,
if I may,
you go for it.
So yes, it is a 5-team group. Qualifying will start during the March international break with Tommy Tuchel at the helm.
Did you feel full of enthusiasm to see Tuchel there doing the portrait selfie video in what essentially looked like a school uniform?
I'll be honest with you. When I saw him in the suit and tie, I thought, oh bloody hell, this is happening. This is real. So I was so used to Southgate doing it, of course.
Yeah.
And Tuchel, I mean, I want him to be like he is normally, fully England tracksuited up. He's basically just gone in and raided the club shop just before kickoff, hasn't he?
Absolutely, the Klopp vibes.
Yeah, exactly. But for some reason, though, I feel like he's even more than Klopp. I feel like Klopp was the cap, the shoes, the trousers, whereas like Tuchel will be like wrapped in a scarf, even if it's August, like everything he can get.
Well, exactly, that's his vibe, isn't it? He's quite intense, so he's probably gone in there thinking, I might get myself a scarf, and has come out wearing everything. I want it all.
Yeah,
magnets.
I think that's what it is.
Fridge magnets, a lot.
So yeah, it's fascinating, really. It did get me sort of glancing into the future as I do. But I think England have got to be fairly pleased. Scotland will play in a 4-team group featuring the team that loses the Nations League quarterfinal between Portugal and Denmark. They're also in with Greece and Belarus.
It feels quite hard, doesn't it?
It does feel a bit difficult because Greece aren't a bad side. Scotland would feel like they can beat them, which of course they can. You'd probably rather Denmark than Portugal at the moment, would you?
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's good for them that they will be drawn against a side that loses, I suppose. You would think so in a 4-team group. Yeah. So there's no dead rubbers in that. Wales were drawn with Belgium, obviously. That always happens.
Cheer KDB up, wouldn't it?
Exactly. They're also in with North Macedonia, Kazakhstan, and Liechtenstein. So a little bit of travel for Wales, basically to Kazakhstan. But I think that again, it's a tricky group. But it could be worse than drawing Belgium. It could have been worse.
Yeah, definitely doable. And Belgium are not amazing.
Belgium are doable now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are absolutely. And I feel like Wales are in a really good place under Craig Bellamy.
Yeah,
fun.
Could be a changing of the guard from Kevin De Bruyne to Harry Wilson.
There we go.
There we go, everybody. So, love that. All right, then. Tonight, we've got some Carabao Cup action. Southampton host Liverpool. Who do you fancy for that one, Peter?
Well, who knows? I mean, Simon Rusk at the helm in the dugout. Old Rusky.
Yes,
a man I don't think I've ever heard of.
Well, do you not keep up with Southampton under-21s?
I don't know, to be honest. Okay. I don't know where Simon Rusk has come from.
Well, the Rusketeer is in charge of them tonight. Following the sacking.
I hope it's not raining. They're very absorbent. It's in a bowl of milk. It's in a bowl of milk in the dugout. Just absorbing cow milk.
Footballing action. Of course, Russell Martin is gone. So Simon Rusk is in charge. As mentioned on Monday, though, Sheffield Wednesday's Danny Rule is favourite to be the next Southampton manager. However, former Denmark boss Kasper Hulmand is also being linked. Ooh, interesting one. Who would you fancy for it, Andy? Bearing in mind they're on a hiding to nothing.
Well, I think Danny Role feels like the more progressive appointment, doesn't he?
Do you not think Role would be mad to go, considering the fine work he's been doing at Wednesday?
Well, yeah, most people would be mad to go.
Who are the few that wouldn't be mad? Let's drill down on that. I want you to drill down on that. I don't care about the majority here.
Vitor Pereira spoken for.
He's gone. We've
already discussed.
Yeah. That would have been... Can you imagine? He would have just been incandescent. With Wolves, he's got a fighting chance. So come on, who are the few?
Yeah, I mean, Hjulmand is...
Paolo Di Canio, is he still interested in football management? Come on, let's have some proper old names.
There we go.
I mentioned Allardyce on Monday.
I mean, he's interested in football. Whether he has any reasonable views on it or whether he has any reasonable views generally,
I was going to say.
I would slightly question, given his regular appearances on Sky Sport Italia.
And his tattoos.
Yeah. But I think from a Southampton perspective, Danny Rowley's surely the one.
He's got lovely thick hair.
Oh.
He would come into being the thickest haired man in the Premier League very, very easily. It is like a big helmet. Ooh. Lovely.
Thomas Frank?
No, it's you know, as an older man, you start to lose a bit of the body. But this,
Frank's hair's fantastic.
It is. Yeah. He's the Marcus Speller of the Premier League.
Yeah,
the George Jesus of the Premier League. There's a lineage there, which goes from George to me. Okay. Well, it's been reported to Liverpool. It's been reported that Mo Salah is close to signing a new contract with the club.
I didn't see. I thought he was absolutely out the door, but it turns out you can rattle your sabre when it comes to demanding a new contract for about 2 seasons.
Yeah, good for him.
Wow, yeah.
Turns out you can play well and be rewarded with it. I know what you mean. I thought he might be coming to the end, but then after this season, is he thinking, "Oh man, I'm still dominating this league. I'll just stick around a bit."
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. But it's very good news for Liverpool, of course, if he does sign a new contract. Bad news for everybody.
His form might fall off. His form's gotten very good lately. Now he's looking for one.
I mean, that's the plan. You sign it and then you start declining, right?
The rest of the league can live in hope, is what I would say. Well, obviously Liverpool are favourites for that one. And I tell you something, they didn't quite manage to win a quadruple under Klopp. The quadruple's on this season, though, isn't it?
I guess
isn't it, Andy?
Technically, yeah.
Slot doing what Klopp couldn't.
Amazing.
Yeah, let's see. Arsenal play Crystal Palace tonight, of course. Mikel Arteta believes that winning the Carabao Cup could help Arsenal challenge for the Premier League. Again,
if something strange happens with the rules, yes.
Yes. Well, we know that the prize money, what was it, 150 grand or something the other way? So, there's a bit of injection there.
Wow.
But Mikel Arteta, like many other managers, has spoken about the Carabao Cup as a sort of gateway kind of cup to open the door to other ones. He said it brings belief, trust and positive energy.
Has he really said positive energy?
Well, he's just
in conjunction with the Carabao Cup?
Well, he is just talking about Carabao itself there, Andy.
Yes, I think
but then Guarana extract.
Do you remember Boost Guaranas? Anyone who was a student round in the noughties will.
Guaranas.
They literally couldn't give them away at the union. They were boxing. Who
wants a Boost Guarana?
Students going free.
Nobody wanted to Boost anywhere. They even less wanted Guarana one.
I had a couple of boxes and they lasted a long time in our house.
Wow.
So how
you around? You're like me though. You'll just eat any old tap.
Pete, to the point of our neighbour was
you're feeding the dogs.
No. The neighbour where we lived had links to the military, and around the time when Iraq and all that was happening.
What you thought they needed a boost?
Wait. He came back and he went, "Oh look, here you go, lads. I'll give you something. Here's a load of ration packs that they give to the army." He was quite interested. Oh right, okay. The chocolate in the ration packs went straight away. But there were Boost Guaranas still sitting on any surface in our house. Boost Guaranas everywhere. He couldn't move for Boost Guaranas.
So does this not compare favourably to the only sugary drink I would drink, which is Guaraná Antarctica?
Is that Brazilian Guaraná?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know the one you mean. Guaraná's okay.
Oh, I really
But that's
like
a sugar, it's not an energy drink. I mean, I can understand why you might...
It is for me. There's enough sugar in it.
Right.
That's true, Andy. That's true. Just walking past a sweet shop is enough for you.
Yeah, it's like when you're ill, when you're little and your mum gives you Lucozade. Or was that just me?
I was going to say my mum was more responsible than that.
I was back at school in 10 minutes.
She gave me a special methamphetamine. Like the troops of World War II.
I do know a Northern Irish person who genuinely said when they were young they were given Guinness because it was full of iron and almost like medicine. So
my dad did give me snuff underage, I remember.
Right.
I don't know what fucking era I come from, but
Snuff.
I remember him giving me snuff once.
Bloody hell.
See, this is what Mikel Arteta for you. He's put us in a position where we're naming and shaming our parents.
I thought boiled sweets were bad enough. Well, Mikel Arteta was asked about only winning one trophy in 5 years at Arsenal. And he said, well, the Charity Shield twice, no, so it's 3. Up yours, everybody. I'll be honest with you, I forgot he won the FA Cup. Yeah, so one
That's
more.
all right. Well done. One
It
more.
seems like a different era of Arsenal.
Oh, it
even
was a
though
different era.
it was still Arteta.
Well, I mean, Emi Martinez was in goal for the final.
Amazing.
And
Wow.
what, Aubameyang would have been up front,
Yeah, he
wouldn't
was.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Did he turn up on time?
Well, he played.
He played.
He got the
Yeah,
trophy
he got
win,
the trophy
and off he
win,
went. I
I don't know if he did turn up on time. There were no fans in stands.
That's a good point, actually, yeah.
I don't know. Well, Arsenal and Palace play each other twice this week. They play in the league on Saturday as well. Maybe that's what Arteta means by, if you win in the Carabao Cup, it could help them in the Premier League. If you get one over them tonight, we know we can beat them. Maybe that's the psychology he's talking about. Petey, tonight, Newcastle United host Thomas Frank and his beautiful hair and his beautiful Brentford team.
Think how windswept that hair will be in the Toon.
Oh,
Yeah.
fabulous. Well, Newcastle beat Leicester 4-0 at the weekend, but then Brentford did pump Newcastle recently, but that was in Brentford.
It wasn't Brentford, but also my sort of rule is that the aforementioned give it some value when you're not on the telly. I don't believe it was a 3 p.m. kickoff, I think, so it was not on the telly. So therefore, this one is on the telly, but it's also on Sky Sports Plus, which is quite confusing to find. So,
But you can find it.
Are you
but
starting
can
flicking channels
find it.
now to get there?
I'll get there in the end, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to this one because it's our competition, isn't it? It's Newcastle's competition.
Explain that.
Well, we get close. We
got to
got
the
close.
final.
We got closer than I've ever seen.
So,
us
like,
get close.
they and Eddie Howe badly need this, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. This could be a career resurrector.
Well, in this competition, which apparently is Newcastle's competition, they have only made it past the quarterfinals once.
Yeah,
So-
Pete's, yeah. It's well, in many ways, it's my competition as well because that's the only.
I see.
That's the only I went to.
And so you
Our
go past the
competition.
quarterfinals once, and it's your
Yeah.
and of course the World Cup is now Morocco's competition as well. People might have
World
said,
Cup, South Korea. Thank you.
South Korea. People might have thought you could have used England for that. Well, no. Up yours. Well, I think that Newcastle are going to give them a good game, Peter.
They are.
I don't think everybody-
as they did
Bold
against
prediction.
as they did against Andy's side and Chelsea.
I'm going to stick my neck
Recently.
out.
But I think it's funny because if you look at the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, there are two teams who really badly need this, and it's Newcastle and Spurs. And yet you still have Liverpool, Arsenal left in it. It's tricky, isn't it?
It is
Would you,
a bit
if you were the Liverpool manager, would you sort of be resting players potentially? Because I've got a lot of
Yes,
lot of
against
fixtures to
Southampton,
get
yes, I
through.
would. Yes, I would. I would absolutely be resting
So,
players.
therefore, you've opened the door to an under-21s manager getting involved.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you look around it.
In a pool of milk.
In a pool of milk. I know what you mean. Liverpool will be favourites for what they're doing. Liverpool and Arsenal, though, are the two standout teams. But you're right, Spurs. I mean, Spurs should be looking at Man United thinking, come on.
Who wants a two-legged semi-final?
Nobody wants that.
In January. Who wants that? Nobody.
No, that's true,
So
yeah.
therefore, tank it. Let us through. It's Newcastle's competition to win. Thank you.
Tank it.